If you're connected with your heart, the path is obvious. Path will be right in front of. But if you take the mind is the doubter, constantly doubting this or that or this or that, so confused. Because that is our conditioning. That is the societal conditioning. We are so connected to mind, of course, but we are so disconnected with our emotion, with ourselves. So what I say is, forget about the absolute truth. At least just come closer to our heart and to our truth.
Welcome, dear guests, first visitors or returning listeners. This is another episode of the Oliver Schirach Show, and this time I have returning champion Dilmi Mahadurage. I interviewed her before on her spiritual awakening journey, which ended up in an ego death. This was very hard for me to kind of guide through. It was very emotional for me. And then we also talked about what is depression. So now in this third installment with Dilmi, we are going deep into the exploration of the nuances of the spiritual growth, self-awareness, and the journey towards enlightenment. What practices can help our spiritual awakening, how to connect with our true self, and the universal journey towards consciousness, love, and compassion. We are looking into what is truth seeking. What is actually the truth? How can we help the search for truth seeking, and how can we reconnect with ourselves? So in this deep conversation, which was initiated by me after a 10-day Vipassana retreat, where I've had the feeling like, oh, there's a lot of connections to what Dilmi shared with me and my listeners, you guys, on her first two episodes. So I wanted to go a bit deeper. I wanted to find out, do I understand it the right way? Am I on the right path? Are we all asking ourselves, are we on the right path to finally connect with ourselves, our intuition, our purpose in life? So in this a little bit shorter episode, Dilmi shares a few nuances, how to reconnect with us, why we are disconnected from us, also the uniqueness of each individual's path to their truth, and some simple daily practices for grounding ourselves into the moment and into ourselves. So without any further ado, welcome to Dilmi for this third interview. Yep, there we go. And we had some pre-show talk. For everyone who wants to be in our pre-show talks in the future, let us know. We have a new episode, and this is, I think, the third talk, or is it the fourth talk I have? Dilmi.
When you can.
Yeah, we had a first talk about your spiritual awakening, the ego death, which was very touching for me, and I didn't really know how I have to handle it while I had to talk with you. You are coaching people to get closer to their truth and helping from Sri Lanka. And we just talked that you are also having a new podcast, YouTube channel on, how do you say that, in Sinhala language, in your local?
Hello.
I got it right.
Yeah, it's class.
And yeah, you also were coaching around the world, I've seen, and now the local people have found you. So it's kind of growing the business there. And I was thinking of Dilmi because I was on a retreat, a meditation retreat, a 10-day, I was gone 12 or 13 days. And I was thinking actually of the discussions we had and of your teachings. And I said, that would be interesting to see, how do these things connect? Because there's kind of like a universal, truth or a universal path where we go, no matter where you are in the world, whatever culture you live in, place in the world, beliefs you have, there's certain truths, certain practices that can help you to grow as a person, as a spiritual people, and, be more conscious, be more loving, be more compassionate. And so, welcome, Dilmi.
Hi, Oliver. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm actually great. I have so much energy now that I see you. I don't know. And how are you?
I'm doing very good.
Yeah, I can see that. That smile, wow, you're radiating so much more energy. than all the other times. I think your life moved forward. It was about 3 years ago we had the interview. And about 3 years ago, you had your outcoming, right? Like 21. You shared your story.
2021, 2020, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think 2021.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I saw you on Instagram. I saw your message about. That's where you started sharing, right?
And then you just reached out to me and then we did the podcast. Yeah.
That's good. So we decided to get this discussion more on truth seeking, how meditations and all these things work, how your coaching is, and what you're actually doing for the people, kind of like practices and tools, how people can move forward in life. So, what is truth seeking?
Yeah, what is it? So, Oliver, like when I say truth seeking, it's like the reason why I use the term truth seeking is because that's the least invested word that I could find to talk about this, and truth seeking, when I say truth seeking, like what is this reality? What is this existence? And merging with that and connecting back to our nature, our true nature, is what I call truth seeking. And we are so disconnected with our true nature. And if you see all the turmoil coming because of this disconnection.
So, how would you describe this disconnection? I've heard many terms in the spiritual world and the personal growth term, and especially in the last 2 years or longer. I mean, it started with the Corona situation where we have all this separation. So, disconnection for you, how do you see it, and how could people see it in their own life if it's the first time they hear a talk like that and they just find us because on YouTube or whatever, Spotify, Apple Podcast, they find us and say, okay, what do you mean with disconnection? How can a person see that in their own life?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to share that at least first connect with yourself, connect to your truth, connect like what I say is forget about all the absolute truth or the existential truth, at least become more connected with your own truth. Sometimes we lie to ourselves so much and also connect with your emotion. This is a huge part because if you see that if you're connected with your heart, the path is obvious. Path will be right in front of. But if you take the mind is the doubter, constantly doubting this or that or this or that, so confused. Because that is our conditioning. That is the societal conditioning. We are so connected to mind, of course, but we are so disconnected with our emotion, with ourselves, So what I say is forget about the absolute truth. At least just come closer to our heart and to our truth. Sometimes we just I've seen people go online to themselves going on for doing a job, which is 9 to 5 job and which they are not even happy, but they just go on because of a paycheck or something similar. Or they just end up stuck in a relationship, which they are very aware that if this doesn't serve them, but they still keep on going because it's not really comfortable to get out of that comfort zone because we are so disconnected with our emotions are ways to tell you look here, there's something going on in here. And especially if you take a depression, what is that? It's a wake-up call, you know? Like, look here, there's something going on. You're not being who you are. You're repressing who you are. These are all messages.
Yeah.
So it's very important. Forget about absolute truth or anything else. Just connect to yourself. Connect to your heart. Connect to your feelings. There's a part which trying to tell through your heart, which is very important.
I can hear from what you share now, when you talk about disconnection, it's more like we are more identifying ourselves with what the head says and are
Yeah.
disconnected with our heart, and the emotions, the feelings, and and therefore we
The
are kind of
sense.
moving away from ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, as you said, it's kind of like a cultural thing that we are connected more with our mind through the movies, the books, the school, everything around. Buy the TV, buy the car. As you said, do the work, do the work, do the work. So how do we actually connect with our heart? How do we know the difference between being up in our mind, in our head, and being in our heart, in our emotions? Do you have any practices, any tips and tricks how we can actually avoid being too much in the head? And
Yeah.
if you have any tips, tricks, tools for our listeners, or how that could look like in real life, like from your experience with clients, without naming anyone,
Yeah.
how that could look like as an example.
Yeah. It's like, Oliver, like you're connecting with your heart, which is like connecting to your senses, being in your body. And like when you are in your senses, you're living in this moment, you know. At that time, you're very close to your nature, you know. And at the same time, like letting your emotions to come into your life, not avoiding them. Because we are in a constant avoidance. Like each time we feel uncomfortable emotion comes up, we want to distract ourselves. We want to watch TV. We want to go like for shopping, online shopping, and or we want to go binge eating on something sweet or like ice cream, something similar, or alcohol, or smoking, or video gaming. You're constantly in a run, constantly in avoidance. Like if you're seeking the truth, these emotions are your truth. Face them. Why you are running away from them? It's trying to tell you something. How many times we avoid it? And I myself, like though I come to here talking right now, there was a time where I was like constant avoider. I didn't even know what I was feeling. I was too much in my head. And then my comfort was like go and eat some food, and then I repress everything down, and I don't have to feel what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me like when you say food, I can realize when I feel disconnected somehow, when I don't know, I feel just weird. I tend to eat heavy food, and I've been told from my Ayurvedic teacher that this is kind of like my grounding. It's kind of like my beingness, my
You
body
know.
wants to ground and kind of like
Mm.
be here. And so
Yeah.
I'm eating this heavy food like cheese, I think, and whatever. Uh, but I
Or
know also
maybe
food can be just
sugar.
mm,
Maybe sugar also like very heavy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's that thing. And now when you say, we're running away from our feelings, I've been going for I've been gone on this meditation retreat, and it was really about feeling your senses, really, sitting still. And I've also did probably 7-8 years ago. I had the app for mindfulness and stuff, and there was also the body scan there. So we did the same. It was different being with we were like 100 people or so. So it was
Uh-huh.
easier for me to sit down like 8 hours a day, like not at once, right? It's like 1.5 hours break, 1 hour, and so on, right? But it's about 8 hours a day for 10, 11 days. And just to feel through the body, like you say, but when you walk around, when you clean, when you work, how 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 can someone then feel? I mean, one thing is to sit down and say, now I'm sitting down at home, at the lake, in the forest, wherever I am, and I'm just feeling. Or I wait for the bus. I have 10, 20 minutes until the bus comes, the train comes, or I'm sitting in the train, just like feeling from the top of my head. I just go down. And I just try to feel how do I feel? And what I learned is like not to judge it, not to say this is good, this is bad. So just say this is how it is. Everything comes and goes, right? Like we know the light is kind of like a constant vibration. That's also what quantum physics found out, that I think it's like 1 trillion times a second, the atom is vibrating, flickering, existing, existing, non-existing per second. So we cannot really see it. So everything is coming and going. So also the different feelings are coming and going. You feel ecstatic, you feel full of joy, but that will also pass. And you're in pain and sorrow, but that also will pass. And I was thinking, when you shared, like we go video gaming, eating, cigarettes, sex, whatever, alcohol, drugs, to not
All.
feel. And but then there's also another thing, is like the sensations we have are either positive, like, oh, it's ecstatic, I love this feeling, I want to have more, or it's something I don't want, so it's kind of aversion, I don't want it, get away, or there's something in between. But the neutral feeling is like, oh, I'm bored, I want to have excitement. So we are
Stimulus.
constantly, I want to be stimulated in one way or the other. So we're running away from this. Anything I said, do you have anything to add for the people? How to, it's like just to observe, like I feel neutral, I feel there's something uncomfortable or there's something I like. And what do we do then in your experience? What did you do to come to your ego death? I think it's what you call happened to you, or enlightenment, or I don't know how you call it now, 3 years later, what happened to you?
Yeah, that awakening. What did I do in order to realize the truth? If you ask that question, Oliver.
Yes, in many words.
Yes. And that's a tricky question, because I could say that, like, even though I share exactly what I did in order to come where I came, but that's exactly doesn't make sense, because it's your true nature. I just discovered my true nature, but everyone's path is very much unique. You know, it just, once I connect with myself, I became my own guru, and I was being guided by myself.
And that's
With
by,
that, and exactly. And with the last, if you can remember, the 1 month period that I was doing intensive meditation, in that, like in self inquiry, that period, I don't know how I knew exactly where to go, what book to read, what meditation to follow, and there was such a flow, and I knew exactly what to do. It was like obvious, this is what I need to do, and then I was like treasure hunting and finding things to do. It's because I am identified in my life in different places than you identified, Oliver, because you are coming from a different conditioning. You grew up in Switzerland. I grew up in Sri Lanka. So I have a different conditioning. You have a different conditioning. What you attached is different, and what I attach is different. So
yeah.
that's why everyone's path is very unique. Though I tell you exactly the process and give you, like, here's the step-by-step process. You do it. It doesn't work. You know?
Yes, and I've seen that with these many personal improvement, the spiritual growth, whatever it is, right? And then people say, do this and it will work. Become vegan and you will have enlightenment. I'm like, yeah, but Eskimos eat only meat and fat. If they're going to be vegan, their body will collapse.
Yeah. I
But
don't think that the physical diet, like, really truly matters. Yet I want to add one thing for that. Like for me, when I let go of dairy products, I felt quite settled in my body. My body calmed down, because I was getting inflamed by dairy, constant inflammation, which made me disturbed time to time, which I found I couldn't really focus on anything, like forget about, like, when I find it uncomfortable. So, like, when I let go of that product, like from my diet, that made a huge improvement in my consciousness, like I could feel it.
But
You know,
that's something which is for your body type, for your
my right,
biology. And for
exactly.
another person, it might be meat. For the next person, it might be nuts or apples or who knows what.
Listen
How
to
did
your body. Yeah,
how did you
yeah.
find out that dairy is the thing that made you disturbed in your body because you had inflammation, which is uncomfortable feeling, so you're nervous in the head and all these kind of things. So how did you find out? Was it again like a heart feeling? You just knew I should stop with dairy, or did you try out different things?
It's just like each time I ate a dairy, I was just observing myself. How do I feel? I realized my energy goes dim, 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 dim. You know, like I can really feel my energy going down. You know, and I was like, okay, it's like, and then each time I eat something similar like a dairy, that happened, and that was repetitive. And I was like, okay, it's time to like let go of this, even though I love cheese, you know, and
Tell me, I'm Swiss.
well,
Yeah, but it's. I know for me, it's like for 1 year, 1.5 years, I didn't eat any flour products, so bread, pasta, pizza. Just
the
disconnecting.
gluten,
That's like the so-called gluten. But
yeah.
uh, I got bigger, stronger. People looked at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, yeah, I'm just not. I did like the fasting, eating 6 hours, 8 hours a day, like from 12 to 6, from 1 to 5. And I cut away these things and I had no more need. And now I'm eating bread again. And I know this is not good. And I see also when I eat sugar, I get energy for the moment. And then afterwards, I'm just
But
like,
then it
boom,
drains the drop very fast.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I get nervous and my body is like ants crawling around. And I
Yeah.
try to focus and I cannot focus on anything, but I'm not thinking of anything. It's just like, it's going like zigzag. So that's how it was for you. So it just slowly realized I eat cheese or drink milk or stuff like that, dairy.
Yeah, and then I was like transitioning into like letting go of my dairy consumption, which made a huge difference in my life. You know, that's why I'm telling you, like, look at your energies, like connect with yourself, listen to your body, and we are so disconnected. You know, that's why all the diseases, everything, all the emotional turmoil and all the problems, because we are so disconnected. We are so in our heads, Oliver, so in our head. This is
Oh,
too much.
tell me. I try to learn so many things, but then in the end, we know if we really are connected, we know it. Like it's just, I've heard lately someone saying, how, then someone asked, like, how do you know? And like, yeah, but how do you know that you're in love with someone? You know, like with your spouse, with your kids. How do you know that? Oh, I just know. Like that's how you know, right? It's like it's difficult to explain, but we have to explain it in words and situations that most people have experienced. And so one thing is the food, right? So people can learn to realize which food is making them tired, which food makes them more energized or gives them more
Listen to
focus.
your body, you know, listen to yourself. You know, sometimes I make exercises like I do really weird exercises with my client, by the way, where I take out their inner chatter out and they let them to listen to their inner chatter, you know. Even that is being not heard. Even though you're caught up with your head, you're not even listening to yourself, you
You
know.
mean
And
your body? You mean you don't
no,
listen to your body?
no, your mind chatter, your going mind chatter, you know, like the constant chatter within inside happening, you know. We're not even listening to that, even though we are caught up with that.
But now when we are spiritual talk, where's the mind chatter coming from? Is it really coming and created here from, or is it somewhere around us? And it's kind of like some people call it the Akashic record, someone call it the universe. Is it really our own creation, or is it just coming into us? What is your take on that?
If it is our own creation,
Yeah, like the inner chatter, the ideas we have. Is it something that comes from our head, from our body, or is it something that comes out and we kind of um, are tuned into these frequencies or these ideas, and then our brain or our body is like an antenna and absorbing it, and then it's coming in and we realize it in our head. What do you think?
Yeah, the inner chatter comes from the society. You know, if you
Okay.
truly listen to your inner chatter, you will start hearing your mother talking, your father talking, your grandparents talking. If you're really conscious, you will start hearing their voices. In fact, if you're really conscious,
Wow.
and that is what's happening. Like it's like a internalized society. Like I always tell my clients, the mind is like a tape recorder where everything that they took outside is being recorded. Now it's playing itself. And,
And it's a chatter, so you don't really are aware of it, but
ah,
uh, um, it's pushing you in certain directions and certain decisions because it's running there and you're not aware of it. So now you decide to go left or right or do this or that or
yeah,
not do this or that.
yeah.
So it's
And that
basically that.
is
Yeah.
and that is basically that is your conditioning. That is your programming done by your society. And then that is why I'm telling mind will never like lead you towards the truth. Because that's the societal conditioning. How can mind will guide you to the truth? But,
Yeah.
but, but, we again and again and again and go listen to what? Our mind. And then
So how
ask
do
us, who am I? From the mind. Wrong person to ask.
so now when you said we don't even listen to the chatter in our mind, but the chatter is kind of the programming. And I heard Bruce Lipton talking about the first 7 years of your life. It's kind of like auto, it's just like what you hear, you absorb it, and it's kind of stored in the hard drive here in the head. And then later on, it's through repetition because at school we have to repeat certain things or
Yeah.
experiences when we do certain things, they're repeated, good or bad. And then it's recorded here. And now we believe that's me, Oliver, that's
Yeah.
who I am,
Yeah.
right? But it's not. It's basically the recording, the savings of the early lives, automatic and
Oh,
repetition, and the past. So when you say we don't listen to our chatter in the head, so how does that help when we start listening to the chatter? Are we able to disconnect with it? Are we able to let go of it, transform it? What happens? Or will the chatter then slowly get less and less? So until
yeah.
we have like freedom
That's a
or
good question, Oliver. Like when you truly listen to even that chatter, it starts slowing down and it's just silencing. Because sometimes there are things which is repressed within you. Like one time I was doing this session and I asked the client to like do that exercise with her, like to ask her to do it. And then she immediately, some angry voice came up. Now we were just very fine talking like this. And here we go after like few minutes to the exercise, some real angry voices start coming out. Where is this coming from? Repressed. And that is the reason like so many like if you take the realized teachers, like they always say like live in the present moment, because you're very much closer. Yet we cannot do it because there's so much lot of repressed things within us. We need some shaking. And that's what I give to my clients, like that shaking. You need that.
yeah, and sometimes actually our environment gives us the shaking, but I think I can see that like where I work, after feeling one or the other guy which work with me, they're kind of like I can feel they feel triggered, they feel pushed, they feel shaken, but they are outwardly reacting very calm. And I feel like, oh, for me it feels bad. It's not like one of the awakened leaders around the world, whatever it is, whatever religion you believe in. We don't take any names to not offend anyone here, but you know who we are talking about. And there's also people which walk the world now, which are enlightened and help with unconditional, compassionate love from the present moment. That's something else if those people were not getting angered or triggered. But when I see people, I can feel they get triggered. I can feel they get angry, but they are just acting calm because it's not okay to to act out, right? You have to be calm. And I've also heard anger is, I don't know if it's Jungian or Freudian psychology, like anger is like a sign that your boundaries are not respected, or, certain things. So anger is sometimes needed to show, hey, that's me, that's where I am. And, but it's not. But on the other hand, the anger, when you talk, I also see with all the wars we start flaring up now, because it's like people started getting triggered, and what do? They go out and have a war. So I also think we can really help people with looking at why are we angry. So what happens in a situation when you have a client or someone which this angry voice comes up? What happens with these people? Are they suppressing it, like in my experience, or are they shouting, screaming? And how do you
Yeah,
get
so
rid of it?
now they are doing the exercise by looking at the wall. Nothing is happening there, but then these repressed voices coming out, and then these are realizations for them, like some things which they needed to do and take care of and take sometimes responsibility. And now it's like aha moments. Wow, like I haven't like dealt with this. So like I am so angry with this particular thing, this, that, like, all the repressions comes out, and then they have real insights. And then finally you're listening to this chatter, which is trying to say, you know,
So then they can take action in their life, and by taking action in
could
their
be
life,
that there would be a sun shift just like that within themselves, like, yeah, a realization.
okay. So I can see. So now we gone a little bit in there, like how to connect with the heart. So basically, listen to yourself. And how do you do that best? Is it by meditation? I have a friend which told me it took her several years to kind of, be more and more present until she can do it at work. She can do it when she's cleaning up. But in the beginning, she couldn't do that. So what is your experience? How does someone get there, which listens to us and says, I know I have this anger. I don't play it out, but I don't know where the anger comes from. Oh, I don't know where the frustration comes from, or the headache. I just get a headache when something happens, right? Or back pain or whatever it is. So what are kind of like natural steps to take? For someone, it can be years to get to the next step. I'm aware of that. And someone can be weeks, right? They can just like boom, 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 move forward.
Yeah.
And we are different, right? We have different traumas, we have different experiences.
Yes. So what is your question, Oliver?
It's basically when someone listens here and says, okay, I can see I have this anger or I have this frustration, but I don't know where it comes from. And the meditation or the becoming more aware of your sensations, your emotions, your feelings, what are kind of like good first steps for someone which has no experience in it?
Yeah, so if you have anger, a lot of anger, which is like, let's say, repressed anger, anger is fine. I'm fine with anger, but then what I'm talking here is the concern. What my concern is the repressed anger. That's the problem. If you like, so one time I was like talking with a man, and then I could like when I'm talking to this man, I could literally feel so much violence in his belly.
Oh, well,
So
you
much
felt it in your belly, or how was that?
in his belly. Like I just felt, I don't know how to share that, but I just felt there's a lot of violence. Like, and then I shared with him, what, like I believe like I just shared because I feel like that's really helpful for him. So I just shared, like I can feel some real violent energy within you, like anger, like let's say. And a lot of repressed anger, and then why don't you go to a gym or something like that and you take some punching bag and start punching, you know? And he really did that, Olive, and he lost his weight 9 kg, and he sent me a message saying I lost him 9 kg. And do you see? Do you see
And
like how
the
much?
anger was out. So he was physically punching and
And doing a lot of like the workouts and all that, and they work. Sometimes we are not able to show that to the person. That's fine. Doesn't need to show that to the person because that could go on to grudges and things like that, because people are having ego, let's say. And that's the truth. That's the reality. So that trying to release that anger in a way which you go to a gym and just punching a punching bag. It's the most like that's a great way to release that in it. And also if you don't have a punching bag and girl is listening to this, go for a run, you know. Release
Ah,
that energy which comes to your body, the shifter. It's energy. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like you're a really evil or bad person you are getting angry. I mean, I used to get so much angry in the past, you know. I mean, it's your energy. If you're getting angry, be happy you have so much energy in your shifter. You know?
and about anger or angriness, I've heard 2-3 people in my network talking about it's such a good energy to use to actually create stuff with the energy, because it's a
Yeah.
lot of energy. For
Yeah.
me, it's very destructive. But again, we are different, right? And there might be certain trauma, certain triggers, certain blockages in my life, which make it for me a destructive energy, where for others it's a productive energy. And I also know, be careful if you go running, because of some people which get really angry, they will overdo it. Not that you go and hurt yourself because you run too fast and too intense. Still listen to your body. So I think what Dilmi says is really good. But I've also seen that in my case, I was running too strong. Luckily, nothing happened, but it could be that you tear a muscle or you twist your ankle or something. So do it consciously. For me, it helped actually when I was angry. I played badminton, and the one which is really giving his room, and he was a top player in the US, in Denmark, and now back in Denmark. He saw me and he's like, "Hey, let's play." And we started easy, and then it went just harder, harder, harder. And like 25 minutes later, he looked at me like, "How do you feel?" I'm like, "I'm good," because my focus was on that little, feather ball, and
Yeah.
the racket is very light. And I was just focusing on that, and the anger and the frustration, the depression, whatever was clouding me was gone. I was sweating it out, and I was using it into the focus of playing good. So that's one thing. Now, one thing could be, of course, to reach out to Dilmi and say, "Hey, I want to go into your coaching. I want to help." And I think you do it internationally still, or
Yes. Yes.
yeah, you still have international customers. So it's not like you're retracting into Sri Lanka. And if you say, "Okay, I don't really need the coaching yet," is how do we connect else? Is it like through meditation, through like sitting down for 5 minutes and just doing the top down scanning of the body? Or what would you recommend for someone?
Yeah. And also like once you like when I say the heart, there's a small voice within you, connect to that. That's very small because of the mind is too noisy. You don't even hear it. If you listen to that, you'll be so fulfilled in your life. But this voice will tell you things which is like dangerous for you to do. Like sometimes it is sometimes uncomfortable things have to go beyond your comfort zone. But do it regardless. You'll be so thankful that you took action on that. And if you can really listen to that by like silencing your mind where you connect with that the small voice, which will be so valuable, especially in this part because that is your guidance. That will tell you exactly where to go, but that will shatter all your conditioning. You will not be able to it will hammer your conditioning, and many people will be disappointed once you start listening to your heart and listening to that voice and go about it. But what I say, go do it regardless. And when you're going in this path, yes, you got to disappoint people whether you like it or not.
Yeah. So there's like the two things. One, from the different podcasts I listen to or people that I talk to, it's like really when you're able to listen to that inner voice, the intuition, some people call it, you will start doing things you normally don't do. You will start to identify with whatever. Let's say you're in a certain job. You're a banker. I mean, I had someone in the banking system, someone in a law company, someone in housing, real estate, whatever, even doctor or veterinarian, whatever it is. And you say, I'm not that anymore, and start to be, I don't know, an artist, a dancer. I have no idea. People around start to get triggered because they identify you with that job title,
Yes.
kind of, and the activities you do. Or you say, I'm not eating meat anymore now, or I'm not drinking anymore, or whatever you do. So you will lose friends.
I
The
love the
more,
whole thing as well. Like almost like once I went through the awakening journey and I look back and I look around, there's no one other than my teacher and some another coach whom I was like talking with. And
yeah,
that
everyone will come,
like,
right? And that's
this is
okay.
this is a journey that like don't think that like so many people will gather around you and then we let's go together. No, that won't happen. Like, you got to go. You got to go.
It's kind of
And
like go inside yourself, kind of also, I think it's a part of the self acceptance and self love, because that's also what I see. I mean, I'm also in this kind of disconnection of everything, and I'm still in the path for the last 8 or 10 years because I'm fighting it. I'm pretty sure for me it's like this fight because I'm so uncomfortable being alone. When you start being comfortable being alone, because you're never alone, because you're always surrounded, and 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 it's the love you receive from the outside is basically mirroring the love you have for yourself, the acceptance, the compassion, I think. And the more you accept and be authentic with yourself, the more the people will come to you, which are on that frequency, vibrance, path. And you will find teachers and students. Now you will have gone through a certain awakening, a certain self growth. Now you will also get people which need your help, your advice. What did you do? How did you do it? And you can share. But you will also find new teachers which bring you on the next path, on the next step. How is that experience for you? Now you're helping people. And like
yes,
10, 15 years ago, you were not able to help people. But that's
yes.
only
I was
because of your
my own
path.
healing journey and I was like trying to figure out what's going on there. And I had many things for me to take care of. Yeah. Yeah.
Share. But you also have perhaps new teachers, new masters that can help you in certain things so you can grow further.
Well, I believe like everything is a teacher around, like even your dog and the cat, like
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And then like talking about it, like I can feel that I go more and deeper into embodying what I realized. And then I can see that is really going deeper and embodying it even more than first we have talked.
Yeah. So this is it. Embody. You improve it. You go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I
Yeah.
can also see that when I look at you, you have a different aura. I don't see auras. I just have the feeling a different appearance, a different energy, more. I think you're more you.
Sen-
You found yourself more.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels like.
That, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it feels different when I look at you compared to the last two talks. And I think people also feel it when they see you. So we have reached our like 1 hour time limit, because for you it must be 10-ish now.
Yeah. 10.
Yeah. So is there anything you want to add to this talk?
Well, like what I like, one more thing is like, I believe I've already shared with you, like connect with your senses, be with your senses. Sometimes we go after the big things, but it's about like really enjoying the small pleasures. When you're having the tea, just be absorbed in it and have it and connect with that sense very deeply. Sometimes only I go down on my rooftop and like going up on the rooftop and I see the clouds, the blue color. Like sometimes when I look at the sky, I see blue color. I've never seen that color before. That type, that blue version. So we mix things out. Because we are in a run thinking that there's some sort of a magic or an enlightenment or some like blast or something happening somewhere out there. Like, let's cross the thing, we are so like busy going, but we missed out what's the we are having the glimpses everywhere, and then the whole universe is trying to tell this to you, but you're so busy.
Yeah, we're so busy trying to get there. Right? It's
And
like,
already knocking on your door, like, hey, like I'm here, like look at me.
yeah, I don't really know much about Taoism. The only thing I know, it's like the yin yang sign, right? It's like the black and the white, the dark and the light, the good and the bad. And it's like where these two are connected, there's a line.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this line is in between. So it's kind of like walking that line, apparently, is where we aim at. But if that's your focus, this will also be the obstacle to get there, because you're aiming so much to get there that you will never reach it. So because you
yeah,
work so hard to get there, you will not get there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
when you just let it go and you, as you say, enjoy the moment and feel and be present and realize that everything is here for you, you can be instantly there, kind of, I think.
yeah.
That's beautiful. So now some people say, okay, great. I want to be coached. How can they reach out to you? You have YouTube channels, as I said, in this language, which I cannot, Sinkala, uh, and English. So how can people reach out? There's a YouTube channel and you're on
Yeah, there's
Instagram.
a
And
YouTube channel which I'll be posting, which is the English channel, goes that name under Dilmi Mahadurage. And then the Singha channel goes under Coaching with Dilmi. And also you can connect with me through my website, dilmicoaching.com. And if you want to like ask a question or something like that, you can send an email. Dilmi DILMI 7 LAK at gmail.com.
perfect. I love it. So yeah, with that, we are done for today. And let's see for the next talk what comes up. So people, don't be shy. Post comments underneath the YouTube. And I think Spotify, you can also ask questions or send emails to Dilmi or me. And then we can see if we want to have like an episode on that. It can also be short episodes, 20, 30 minutes. Doesn't matter. It doesn't always have to be 1-2 hours as it is for me. So with that, thank you people for listening, and please share, like, and return to us.